Not bad, not great.
Okay, so when I look at this equation, I will have this formula sheet with me on the test. Okay, not the one that I gave you. Do you see how this formula sheet does not tell you? Take the opposite. It doesn't tell you that. Okay, so this looks like this. But here's the hint. In this formula, they all have minus signs on the stuff. So what do minus signs mean to actually do? Opposite. So the vertex is -3 first, and then +4. Okay, the domain. What's a domain of any parabola? Hopefully that's a free point on the test. Okay, but make sure it's in that order. Sometimes I get people who write me negative or positive infinity to negative infinity. Okay, that'd be like reading a book backwards. You don't do that. Okay, let's go down to F. What's the direction of opening? Down, because you saw a -2 slope, right? Now let's talk about range. So if it looks like that, what's the lowest? Negative infinity. That means it's going to reach an exact top height of 4. Okay, axis of symmetry. Where is it cutting through? It's going to cut through -3. How do I write that though? X equals. Lots of people forget to write that, which loses them a half point. Because that's the way it creates a line. If you just say -3, I don't even know what that means. X equals -3 is a line. Okay, y-intercept. Can you see what the y-intercept is right now? No. So we got to do some work. What is the work to get a y-intercept? X equals 0. So get the math going on that. Okay, how'd it go? I got a -14. Okay, sketching this. So -3, 1, 2, 3, 4 is your vertex. Okay, luckily on your test I put the grids for you because I've had some bad experience with people trying to draw their own graphs before.
Are they the annoying graphs where there is no middle?
I just have all kinds of people drawing graphs. Crooked, takes them an extra 10 minutes of their test time. I will give you like the grid paper part. Okay, I need to understand how to move. So when I'm moving, I'm going to think about a over-up chart. Every single time I start the same, which is 1, 1, 2, 4, 3, 9. So we talked about having a slope of -2. So what does that do to this pattern?
You multiply the up by negative.
You change how you're moving up now. So this is all going to change. On your test, I'm going to expect you to write 5 points on your graph. Okay, so I'm going to go over 1, down 2. And over 2, down 8. I'm going to do those sets. And that's good for me because that's that 5 points. Okay, I need arrows when I graph, or you lose a deduction on your graph if you forget your arrows. Does this look like it'll cross the y-axis at -14? That seems reasonable. So let's pretend you did your math wrong and you got a y-intercept of 5. Would that give you a red flag on your test? Something happened? Either your graph is wrong or your y-intercept is wrong? Did it narrow? Did it flip? Did it do those things that I was thinking it would? Okay, next. So I will have this little piece of paper beside me on my test. And what is this? So now this looks more like general form, which my strategy is now the -b/2a stuff. Okay, so the vertex is +8, opposite b. I'm going to actually not say -b, I'm going to go opposite b. So +8 over 2 times a. So what is 8 divided by 4? 2. The vertex is 2, comma. And now I need to plug that in. And I'm sure at that point you would be plugging in into your calculator. If that number is negative, be careful. If I have just a -1 out front, you got to be careful with your math. Hint, hint. That sounds right. I'm still doing the math here. 8 minus 16 plus 7. Okay, does it have a min or a max? So what are you even looking at for that stuff? What's going to help me figure that out?
The location of the vertex.
Not quite. What helps me decide if I'm having a min or a max? What am I even looking at? The slope, because the slope is 2. What do I know if the slope is 2? It's facing up, which now makes this a minimum. So I look at the slope so I can visualize the direction. So what does that make the last question? If it opened like that, I now have a max, right? Axis of symmetry, where does it cut through?
The middle.
The middle, which is the number 2. So I need an x equals 2. The y-intercept, x is 0. So therefore, somebody said 7. So where does that, I will write it the long way, some of you if you don't get it, but you don't need to write this. So basically the understanding is once these were all 0, right? That's the understanding. So y-intercept is 7. So I'm going to sketch this. So 2, negative 1. So I'm looking for some points in the pattern, so I'm going to think about my over up. The slope is 2, so I'm going to double everything. Okay, so over 1 up 2. Okay, just some after questions I might ask about parabolas. For instance, if I give you points, do you think you could figure out where its partner point is? You know what I mean? So using that axis of symmetry, understanding these are partner points, right? So be able to figure out that kind of thing. Okay. Mine?
7 because you went from the -1.
Yeah. Did you reset to your vertex?
Yeah.
So at your vertex,
Wait, no, I didn't.
yeah, you gotta reset to, because your vertex is -1. So if I do travel up 8, that should be at a height of 7. So that worked out, which is good to have noticed, because then something happened. Yeah. Okay, determine the vertex. So what am I looking at here? Which form? So this would be the standard. So I should take everything with a opposite. Opposite. Okay, number 2, what does it look like? Standard form or this form, it doesn't matter. It kind of looks like both of them. What's going on though? There's no K number. There's no free floating number, right? So there's a 0 in that position. So did you write opposite with the 3? But then there's no separate number. So I'm going to just give you an extra question here. What's the vertex of that then? 0, -2. Because it looks like this one, but there's no number in the bracket position.
So if the number in the bracket, then it's opposite.
The number in the bracket is always opposite.
So if there's 1 in the bracket, but not in the bracket, then it's both opposite?
But then if it's not in the bracket, it depends on where it would be. If it's on that side, opposite.
Okay.
If it's on the end, it's the same. Okay. And how do I find the vertex here? It's that, so I'm jumping into the -b, opposite b. Opposite b over 2a. So if you're doing that in your calculator, make sure you type it correctly with brackets on the bottom, or understanding in your head what's negative 18 divided by 6. Negative 3. Is it something quite negative? Negative 52. Okay, a parabola has x-intercepts at 2 and at 10. Therefore, what is the axis of symmetry? So think about how your parabola would have to look. So where would you place that axis? It'd have to be where in relationship? In the middle? So the axis of symmetry would be x equals 6. Some of you might have been just using mental math. If you're figuring out what's in the middle of anything, you add and divide by 2. So 10 plus 2 is 12. Divide by 2 on the average is 6. Okay, what are the x and y intercepts of the following? Okay, so do we understand that concept? The x-intercepts is when y is 0. The y-intercept is when x is 0. The y-intercept, boom, 21. That's fast, because x is 0. The math is just the last number. So on this one, if I make y 0, okay, well, that didn't get me a number. What do you, yep. This is the y-intercept, yep.
Oh, okay, my bad.
That's the y-intercept.
Does it matter if the y?
No, that's good.
That's why you just kind of like, you know, give up. Put in the future for a bit.
Well, yeah, because you can't mathematically get something alone because it's x squareds and x's. They can't go together.
Foil. I thought you were going to say foil. Foil's when you do the opposite.
Factor. Yeah.
It is that.
Foiling and factor are the complete opposite process of doing each other. So this is factoring. If I wanted to FOIL my factors out, I would just get back and forth. 21 is 7 times 3 plus plus. So my x-intercepts are negative 7 and negative 3. Okay, complete the square. Okay, step 1. Move the number away. Okay, when we do this complete the square, when we are figuring out the last part of the trinomial, it has to be that we're working with a simple trinomial. Is this a simple trinomial? Yes. Like it's starting out 1x squared, so it's good. So I can finish this off. So what's the number I want to put there? Half squared 36.
How did you get that number?
I took half of this, so negative 6 is in my head, and a negative 6 is getting squared. Okay? This is always positive, no matter what, it's plus. Okay, what happened to my math? That wasn't even there before. So my teeter-totter, add on the other side. So this looks like y plus 3 now. And don't forget, my goal here is to end up like this. This is my goal, to get this into standard form, because that's what the directions say. So y, we're done that. We don't even have to consider the a, because the a was the 1. So brackets squared. Brackets squared. What do we change this trinomial into? A binomial squared, a perfect square. So don't forget the relationship here. This is double, and that is a square, right?
How do you get it to double? There's nothing like doubling.
Like if I was to FOIL this out,
Oh, then you write it out and then like the x temp.
can you see what that would FOIL out to be? X squared first, minus 6x minus 6x plus 36. So that's what's happening. I'm just working backwards of the foiling though. That's good? Now you see where it's coming from? Okay. Question B. So I'm going to move okay, to make our trinomial, we need a simple trinomial. Is this a simple trinomial? No. So I get a lot of mistakes here, and I get people who write me plus blank 36 right now. That's illegal. You can't do that. I have to start it. I want a simple trinomial inside here. I want a simple trinomial to work with.
Like x and then there's a negative 6 somewhere.
So once I take the negative 2 out, this is a x squared. So you can see how I'm still multiplying to negative 2x squared. Subtract 6x, because that would still multiply to plus 12x. Here's now where I do the last process, because it's inside a simple trinomial now. So half squared negative 3.
Wait, did you take half of this?
The negative 6 halved is negative 3.
And then add 9 to the other side?
And then
9?
not quite 9,
But why do you take half of the negative 6?
because that's the middle number. I'm taking it all with my simple trinomial.
So you take half of it and you square it to get the other one?
I took this, I took half of that. So now, you saw it? Yeah. Okay. Half of that one. Okay. So here's my hint. I put little arrows here so that you could understand what's really there. So if this multiplies, this was a negative 2x squared. Did that exist? Mm-hmm. This multiplying would be my plus 12x. That existed. This multiplied would be negative 18. Did that exist before?
No.
No. So that's what I upset at the teeter-totter with.
I thought you were supposed to add. Oh, it's negative.
It's like if you took 18 pounds off of a teeter-totter, you would still have to do that to the other side. So y minus 7. So remember our goal. Remember our goal. Y minus 7 equals a brackets squared.
You're scaring me now.
So what is the perfect square binomial? X minus 3.
How did you get the 9? Well, 9 is half of there. You have to it has to be that way because
Okay. Number 7. Does this have a min or a max? A min because I'm looking at the 5 slope means a min. It opens up, so I have a min. And what is that value? So what is the lowest height? What do I have to do to get a low height? What do I have to get to that point? I'm going to have to figure out the vertex. How do you do a vertex when something looks like that? Opposite b over 2a. Okay, in your head, what's negative 20 divided by 10? Negative 2. Is that the value I want? No, I actually need the y part is talking about the height part of it, and that's the part I care about. Okay, so this is how I would write my answer. There's a min of negative 3. Okay, Abigail tosses a coin off of a bridge into a stream. So, can you visualize what this looks like? You're tossing a coin off of a bridge. So, you would actually be starting like that, right? And then what would you probably do in a pattern if you're tossing something? It would go up, and then it would eventually hit the water. And we're talking about time of what's happening and the distance of the, I don't really like that word, the height I should have wrote, but okay. What is the greatest height of the coin? What do you want to find if you're asking for the greatest height? I need to figure out the vertex. So to get the vertex, opposite b over 2a. Did you get a 3 comma something yet? Negative b over 2a. 3, and then you plug in the 3. Okay, 256. Anybody match that? That was good. So actually, how do I answer this? I haven't answered it. I've done the work. The answer's on my page, but how do I answer? What is the greatest height of the coin? So 256 feet. Okay, you have to answer which part is which. So I could have said, how long will it take for it to get to the highest? What would you answer then? You would answer 3 seconds if I asked that question, right? Okay, the next question says, how much time will it take for the coin to hit the water? So that's this point.
Wait, what did you say was going to be 3 seconds?
If I asked, how long does it take for it to get to the highest? It would take 3 seconds to get there. So if I'm asking you for how long it's going to take to hit the water, I'm going to figure this out. What is this point called in words?
The x-intercept.
X-intercept. Okay, well, how do we figure out x-intercepts? What's the strategy?
Y equals 0.
So if y equals 0, okay, this one is a challenging one. This would be more in the next unit. I think I would put something like this. I can factor that. Does anybody know a style that might help here?
Is that a GCN?
Yes, I can take something out. I think everything is divisible by negative 16. That will help me. So negative 16, take that out as a GCF. So leaving me with t squared. And you might have your calculator. What is 96 divided by negative 16? So negative 6t. And then 112 divided by negative 16 is negative 7. So you've done some factoring like this last year. So we GCF that out. Now, can you take that trinomial and break it down? It's simple now. What multiplies to negative 7? You don't have many options. 7 times 1. How do you produce a negative 6? So the time either equals 7 or the time equals negative 1. What do you know about those numbers in this situation?
The time cannot be negative.
This doesn't even make sense in this context. You can't have a negative time. So my answer to this would be 7 seconds, and it would hit, boom, to the water. One other question I might say is, how high is the bridge? How high is the bridge that you're throwing it off of?
112 feet.
112 feet is the height of the bridge. because this is you standing on a bridge right there, which is the y-intercept, which is 112. Okay, so you can see how everything we've done can put into context. Okay, you have an 1,800-foot roll of fence, and you want to make 2 pens splitting a rectangular enclosure. So that's your situation. You want to make 2 pens splitting a rectangular enclosure in half. Okay, I'm going to put that side and that side as an L. And I'm going to put these sides as a W. All together, those side lengths, I have 1,800 feet. So all of those sides would make 1,800. We are trying to end up with the largest area place we could get. So what is the area formula? Because I'm not going to give it to you.
Length times width.
Length times width is the area of a rectangle. So when I'm working with this formula, it's got L's in it, and W's in it, and A's. That's way too many letters. So remember the goal? Get something here that we can now plug in. So we're going to get something alone. Which letter looks like it's easier to get alone? The L. So I'm going to 2L equals 1,800 minus 3W. I'm going to move. Please don't mathematically put those together. It's not 1796W or something like that. You can't put them together. Then I have to still divide everything. There's another mistake I often see. Does anybody know what they want to write for a decimal on that without their calculator? 1.5. So I'm going to take this and replace, does that make sense to you what I'm doing there? I'm going to replace this to the L spot. Okay, my brackets are important there because it's the L timesing by the W. So that's why my brackets are like that, right? I want the whole entire L. Okay, so that's kind of the hard part. Now we get to that's the algebra stage. Okay, so this is a quadratic. That's your quadratic formula. Now, what are the largest dimensions means I'm trying to find a max. If I try to find a max, which point is that called? If I try to find a max, it is the vertex. How do you find the vertex? Opposite B over 2A. Because I'm trying to find the largest enclosure I could possibly get. So therefore, I'm trying to figure out where am I with the max. I don't want a y-intercept or an x-intercept. I'm trying to find the max. Okay, so negative b over 2a. It is a negative number, because what is your a number? What is your a number, right? which is this is a, were you looking at the 900? Yeah. So being careful there, this is actually a B value and this is actually an A value, right? It doesn't necessarily go A, B, C all the time. This is mixed up in the order. So negative B, you put them in the right spots, over to A. And I got that to come out to be 300. Okay? Which is normally what I would say the x of your vertex, but this is not an x of your vertex. Instead of x, it is the, what is this even talking about now? Instead of x, it's the w. So this would be 300 feet. So what are the dimensions? So that's 300 feet. What's going to be the L? What do you want to do here? We could just mental math some stuff, or you could plug in. So whatever you're doing to figure that out, you can use your mental math, or you could plug it into that. Okay, so I could ask you what are the dimensions. I might ask you what is the largest area. Okay.
There has to be an easier way. Yeah. I will figure it out.
If you take my calculus course, we do these exact problems and then we start using calculus to figure out the answer, but that's not an easier way. That's a harder way if you want. I can derive it and... Okay. Calculators are sold to students for $20 each. 300 students are willing to buy them at that price. For every $5 increase, 30 fewer. We're trying to maximize revenue. Okay, so I'm just going to write this one in words. So the revenue is the price, and then I would times it by the number sold. Does that make sense to you in real world? However much the cost is times the selling number. Okay, so I'm going to give myself 2 brackets. And then we're going to start to do the filling in. So the price of the calculator, well, it started out as $20. And then 300 people wanted to buy them. So that's where I put that. For every $5 increase in the price, plus 5x, because I don't know, am I going to increase it 5 or maybe 10 or 15? I don't know. Then 30 fewer, but this has to have an x because if this goes up 10, this is going to have to go down 60, right? It's going to have to go accordingly. Okay, what do I do now? I do the algebra stuff of math. You have to have your 4 parts there. Algebra stuff of your math is the 4 parts. 6,000 is first. Right, 6,000 minus 600x plus 1,500x minus Everyone's seen my numbers here? I did the F, the number, the O, the I, and the L number. Okay, I can now put these two terms together. What is that, 900?
Yeah.
Okay, this one as well as the other one we did could look tricky. Do you understand which numbers are representing A, B, C?
Yeah. Yeah.
That is your A number. This is your B number. Okay, so I'm trying to find the max revenue. So max is vertex, right? So you see that quite a bit. Max is a vertex. So opposite B over 2A. And that makes did you get 3? Anybody else get a 3 on that?
Yeah.
That's 3. Okay. Then we've talked about in the past plugging that in. If I do plug that in, do you understand that the output would tell me what the revenue would be? If I plug that in, it's going to tell me a revenue number. But I don't want that. It says, what is the selling price of the calculator? So where do I plug it in? To the selling price. So if I started at $20 and then I went up $5 3 different times, what is my price? I'm now going to need to sell my calculators for 35 bucks. That's expensive.